one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. It's gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2 3. 1 2 3.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps cause they know what happens next. So without further ado,
Free smoke.
look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much I have you doing what it meant to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo, if they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa. Boss forever like they decided to throw me under slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop 1,000,000 songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Winning has a price. And leadership has a price.
When did winning not become the main thing? I always say keep the main thing, where, winning is the only thing that truly matters.
Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Saint. I gotta take a sip of this drink real quick, yo. I got to. Lemonade and tea. Arnold Palmer. I don't know why it was so hard for me to say that just now. It's kind of strong, I ain't gonna lie, because I was at my mom's crib today, and I fixed me a little, you know, the things that the Country Time lemonade mixes come in, or the Kool-Aid, or Tang, those little things that you can get with the powder. So once we get done using the powder in them, I use the things as cups, basically. And I filled me up some Arnold Palmer. I can't keep letting this word beat my ass like this, but that name rather. But it's kind of syrupy, man. She like hers real strong. I don't like mine watered down, but I don't really like it too strong. Like where you could just basically pour water in it and keep adding water and it'll keep being a strong drink, but until you water it down enough, if you understand what I'm saying. Listen, man, we're not here to talk about that. How is everybody doing out there? I hope everybody had a dope day, dope afternoon, dope night, whichever point in time you're listening to this. I appreciate you for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. You could have been anywhere else in the world, and maybe you were somewhere else, but you stopped by to check me out, and I appreciate you for that, truly. Words whooping my ass right now, buddy. Words is whooping my ass, but we got to talk about the WNBA. We got to talk about a lot of things in this episode. I be trying to timestamp the videos, man. I do, but I just don't have the time sometimes, or a lot of times. But nonetheless, the order in which the video is going to go, the show, rather, I believe, because I be rambling, so I could get all the way off topic. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the Sparks in the last 3 games we played, because I haven't been able to cover our last 3 games against the Wings, the Fever, and today the Mercury. Obviously, got to talk about the NBA Finals, Luka Doncic, the Spurs. I mean, not the Spurs, good Lord. the Boston Celtics. Fuck them. We got to talk about the controversy in the WNBA right now and my thoughts on the WNBA new fan base, rather, or the Caitlin Clark stance. We got a lot to talk about in the episode. So, and I got an NFL topic that I need to talk about, but at the moment, it is not popping up in my head what that topic was. So maybe I'll remember it as the show goes on. However, I do want to start off by talking about this Caitlin Clark thing because Carter, point guard, backup point guard for the Wings. I mean, not the Wings, the Chicago Sky. Chicago Sky got nice unis. I really like the Chicago Sky's unis. I'm not going to stunt. But she hip checked Caitlin Clark, called her the B word last game they played. Well, it's not the last game Caitlin Clark played because the Fever just got blasted by the Liberty, where Caitlin Clark only scored 3 points, but we'll talk about that in a minute or in a few. But everybody on Twitter going crazy about it. You got these professional analysts who, oh, that's such a dirty play. They doing Caitlin Clark so dirty in the WNBA. And you got all these talking heads, these former athletes, current athletes. Everybody got an opinion on the situation. We done heard. I spoke on how I felt about Jeff Teague saying basically these women need to kiss Caitlin Clark ass and let her give them 40 every night and be appreciative that she bringing money into the WNBA. I done heard it all. I heard Charles Barkley speak on how girls in the WNBA, or women in the WNBA rather, are hating on Caitlin Clark, which I just do not believe that. I saw Becky Hammond address the other day in such a beautiful statement where she said nobody is hating on Caitlin Clark. Rather, what's being brought to the forefront is the lack of media attention of the black and brown girls in the WNBA and their accomplishments, which I couldn't agree with more, to be completely honest with you. And I'm going to get to that later on in the show. You got all these. I saw Lewis Reddick put out a message about how he kind of don't want to watch the WNBA now if they're going to be hip checking and doing stuff like that to Caitlin Clark. And I want to remind people, because I done watched every single Caitlin Clark game she done played this season. I don't miss, like, I'm an avid WNBA watcher, okay? So I'm not just some fan that started watching the WNBA because it kind of got hot this year, or because Caitlin Clark came in. Because if I truly gave you my opinions on Caitlin Clark, a lot of people wouldn't like them. And it's not that they negative opinions on Caitlin Clark. I just don't see Caitlin Clark in the way some people see her as far as her skill set right now. It got nothing to do with her potential, her ceiling, what she can be in the future. But right now, I'll get to that in a couple. But I done heard it all, basically, of everybody talking about giving their opinions on the things going on in WNBA. So let's talk about them. I do not agree with this notion that women in the WNBA are hating on Caitlin Clark. To me, that's crazy. I don't think it's no more of a hate than it is a competitive, more of a competitive fire towards Caitlin Clark, much like it is in the NBA and the NFL. I done seen so many rookies come in multiple sports who have a high profile, who are looked at as that guy. And I saw how pros treated Bryce Harper when he was a rookie with the Nationals. I saw how pitchers like Cole Hamels threw at him. I saw how the older vets went at Bryce Harper because of how he played the game. I see how Lonzo Ball was treated when he got to the NBA by vets who didn't like how his dad talked. So they felt like a guy coming into the NBA with this type of star power, with this type of people, with this type of headlines, I'm going to teach him something. So we saw how Patrick Beverly did him. So if you have a problem with women being competitive towards Caitlin Clark, then that is a you issue. That is a man having an issue and not seeing women's sports in the way you see men's sports. Because you don't look at the men's sports and say, oh, they need to stop doing that rookie like that. You immediately say, it's the grown man's league. Toughen up. But for Caitlin Clark, you look at her as a little girl, your little sister, your little daughter or something like that. And I got no problem with you looking at her like that except for the problem is she's a growing adult. She's not a young, now I do look at Caitlin Clark as a young adult in a sense of her, Angel Reese, a lot of these, they 21 or 22. You still young. You still growing. You still maturing. But I don't look at her like she in high school and middle school or something like that. I understand she is in the professional leagues now. She got to get her weight up. It's going to be tough. It's going to be aggressive because these women ain't here to let her drop 40. You don't think that these women appreciate the multitude of new opportunities that have been presented to the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese? Because I notice a lot of people like to say it's just Caitlin Clark, but I would contend Caitlin Clark's star rose even more once that rivalry with Angel Reese came. She couldn't became Angel Reese without Caitlin Clark. I know a lot of people like to think that, but Caitlin Clark does not become Caitlin Clark without those battles with Angel Reese. Like, I don't understand how people continue to think it's just one without the other. Angel Reese might not have the skill set, the exciting skill set of a Caitlin Clark. I get that. But Angel Reese is every bit the winner that you think Caitlin Clark is. She is every bit the baller that you think Caitlin Clark is. And she did just as much to help the women's sport this year or last year or the last couple years as Caitlin Clark did, along with a lot of other women in the sport. But those have been the biggest names in women's sports as far as college basketball, because you're not finna tell me A'ja Wilson is not out here killing shit. People know who A'ja Wilson is, yo. That's why it was such an uproar on Twitter when people saw that other women was getting shoe deals and she didn't have one yet. But this notion that women shouldn't have this competitive edge when they face a Caitlin Clark, women shouldn't be competitive when they face Caitlin Clark. They should just get down on their knees and say, thank you, Caitlin Clark, for the money that you've brought into, as if they not working their asses off every single day. One of the things that I continue to find very funny to me is normal people, because it's one thing when these idiots on TV get on TV and say this ridiculous shit or hop on a podcast and say this ridiculous shit. But it's another thing when a normal human being who make normal people money say stuff like this. Like they should just be thanking they bread, they meal ticket. When in real life, in reality, normal people do not act like that. Normal people don't think like that. Normal people will be damned if they look at somebody as their savior other than Jesus Christ. It don't matter how much this person bringing into the business. He bleed just like I bleed. Like, so to try to tell other athletes who work just as hard at their craft to be great at the sport and to help, because Caitlin Clark ain't out there playing against just Kate at nobodies. I mean, there's other women out there who, if Caitlin Clark is going to continue to be great, she's going to need the help of the big time women in the WNBA, like the Sabrinas, like the Stewies, like the A'ja Wilsons. It is studs in the WNBA. I don't understand how people think Caitlin Clark is going to become great alone. Like y'all want her to go out there, drop 40 points. And that's another thing. It's almost like y'all telling these women, go let her drop 40 on y'all every night and be cool with it, because she helping bring money into the game. What kind of attitude is that? What kind of competitor would think like that? What kind of competitor would go onto the court, the field, the diamond, and say, you know, that person right there put a lot of eyes on our sport. Let me strike out the Shohei Ohtani on purpose. Let me just throw him a meatball down the middle so he can get a home run. What? Let me just let Patrick Mahomes go crazy on us today because he bring a lot of eyes to the sport. Do you know how crazy that sound? Steph Curry and LeBron James, big names. Let me just let them go for 40. Let me miss assignments on purpose and let Sauce Gardner get and let what's my man's name? Jamar Chase go crazy for 200. Do you know how stupid that sound? And it's former athletes suggesting this type of nonsense. You're telling these competitors, because that's what I keep, like, y'all keep forgetting at the end of the day. I understand that these are women, even though to me it's baffling that because they are women, they cannot be competitors. That's basically what I'm hearing, because you're telling them not to compete. And you could try to water down what you're saying. Oh, you know, I'm saying this. No, what you're saying is that they should not compete and they should bow down and kiss Caitlin Clark's ass every time she step on the court because she bring more eyes and more money into the game. That's crazy. And like I said, athletes saying this shit and would not have this type of approach themselves. When Wemby came into the league, motherfuckers wanted to bust his ass. Nobody was saying, oh, Wemby's a star, let's let him go off. Nobody said that. So when you hear when rookies come into the game in the NFL, they got a list of who they want to sack. You think any of the pros who come into the league be like, oh, this dude wanted to sack me, man. Hey, let him off and let him sack me today. Let the game be easy for him. What? I mean, I really don't understand that way of thinking. Maybe it's me though. Maybe it's me. And then to address the hip check that everybody going, hey, listen, Caitlin Clark's boyfriend or her husband and her brother, I understand you very protective of your sister and your wife or your meal ticket. My apologies, of your family. But at the end of the day, liking hate tweets, retweeting hate tweets about Angel Reese, a young adult just like Caitlin Clark, is crazy. It's crazy. Family members really should stay their asses off of Twitter, to be completely honest with you. But that's just me. But to address the hip check, listen, when I saw it happen, I literally did, my reaction in real time was it happened. And I said, that's some whole ass shit right there. That was my immediate reaction. I thought nothing else of it because I've seen it happen in sports all the time. Cheap shots, dirty plays. I see it happen all the time. Now, what's crazy to me is how Carter has been made to be a villain in all of this. Now, do I condone the hip check? Would I have done it? No. If it happened to one of my team's players, yeah, I'm like, damn, that's some whole ass shit right there. But at the end of the day, am I asking for this player to be thrown out the league? Am I trying to act like this is the worst thing I've ever seen? No, this happens in sports all the time, whichever way you want to put it. So, see, some people keep saying, oh, this is not a part of sports. This is dirty. Dirty plays happen in sports all the time. This was not on the level of something Vontaze Burfict done in his career. This was a hip check. Caitlin Clark, maybe she do get hurt on that play. I see freak accidents happen all the time, so I'm not going to tell you she couldn't have got hurt. But the likelihood of Caitlin Clark getting hurt on that play was highly unlikely. Or I'm not even going to say highly unlikely. I don't imagine Caitlin Clark gets hurt on that play because I done seen her take more rougher contact in the course of action throughout a game. But I understand she was not paying attention when that hip check happened. So I don't condone the hip check. I understand if you feel like it was a dirty play. It was a dirty play. However, I done seen a million dirty plays in sports, so I'm not finna overreact to it. On top of that, Caitlin Clark talk more shit than most of the women in the league right now, and she's a rookie. I don't understand this notion where she can talk shit, but nobody else. Now, I understand if you say the reaction can't be that, but how many times have we seen people have those type of reactions in sports? We see dust-ups in the NBA all the time. So, listen, I already know you're going to label Carter a dirty player right now and all that type of stuff. You ignored the good game she was having in the midst of all of it. You got, I saw a reporter post on Twitter because he was mad that they didn't answer his questions after the thing because all he want to do is incite a bunch of mad white people to get mad at this player, which I don't understand how the media continues to be allowed to do things like this, incite a crowd of bunch of racists, because that's all that's happening on Twitter after that had happened. The reality is that will probably happen to Caitlin Clark in her career again. And it won't, she ain't the first person it's done happen to. She ain't the last person it'll happen to. That's the reality. You might not like to hear that, but that is the reality of the situation. So I'm not finna overreact to it because I done seen it happen in the men's game and y'all don't act like this. I almost feel like the only time I hear people with a reaction to any time somebody do something that's dirty in the NBA or really any other sport, it's when it's players you don't like or when it happened to a player that you love, because the rules in the NFL are what they are. But because you don't like Kareem Jackson, you don't have a bad history with Kareem Jackson, you feel as though the plays he made weren't dirty. But if you go by the letter of the law, then what he did was dirty. So it's a mix of opinion just based off of how you feel. So this is it dirty? Is it not dirty? Who cares? It's a part of sports. This ain't the first time that's done happened to somebody. The only reason you have a reaction is because it's Caitlin Clark. Draymond Green and Patrick Beverly seem to be the only two people who y'all have a problem when something happened. If somebody do something dirty and it was one of them, those two, then you have a problem. Anybody else, you don't really care unless it happened to somebody you like a Caitlin Clark. So to me, while I understand the play was unnecessary, that's not the first. And Louis Riddick saying that he stopped watching if this stuff is allowed to happen. The notion that this is happening to Caitlin Clark on a game-to-game basis is insane. This is a rookie who is right now not physically fit to take the pounding of the WNBA on a game-to-game basis. So some games, she look a little tired. She look worse than she did the previous game. She got to build up that year-long endurance of being in the WNBA, getting that WNBA training so she can get a WNBA body. She'll look way better next year than she do this year. It worked like that most times, but for some reason, people want to act like, oh, man, they just playing with her it's just too tough for her. They playing too hard. What? Bro, do y'all hear what y'all saying? This is crazy. I mean, some of this shit that's coming out of y'all mouths to me is insane. Like, I watch these games and I'm saying to myself, is it rough out there for Caitlin Clark? Are they guarding her real tough? Yeah, because when you can score the ball like she can, you get guarded like that. Steph Curry gets guarded like that. Like, this is what happens when you are great at your sport. This is what happens when you are a great scorer. You get special type of treatment sometimes. That's why motherfuckers in the NFL get double teamed. That's why Aaron Donald get triple teamed. This is what happens. That's why every time the Ravens play Jamar Chase, they got two people covering them. Sometimes three. This is what happens when you are great at a craft. So when the old girl ran from the free throw line the other night after hitting one and forgot to hit the other one because she wanted to immediately get back on her assignment to Caitlin Clark, I get it. It was hilarious, but I get it. Because that's the type of weapon Caitlin Clark is right now. So, and that, when old girl came in the game, the coach probably told her, your only assignment is to guard Caitlin Clark. Do not let Caitlin Clark go off. So, you know, you new fans, in air quotes, or rather Caitlin Clark stands, y'all gotta chill out, bro. Y'all acting like y'all ain't never watched the sport before, and it's crazy. It's really embarrassing. Some of the shit that's coming out of y'all mouths, some of the stuff that y'all tweeting, it's Jesus Christ, boy. You would have thought that they went out there and like literally was just out there punching Caitlin Clark. And then Angel Reese being excited for her teammate. Now people hate her too again. Like, to me, at the end of the day, all this did was intensify the rivalry. More money. Listen, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese should understand, and now Chicago and the Fever should understand. We can make a lot of money off of these bozos on Twitter. All the racists, all the stans of Caitlin Clark, hell, even some of the fans and a lot of the fans of the other women, of Angel Reese. We can make a lot of money off of this hate. Now, should a business be promoting that? No. But they're not really promoting it as much as they just working off of what the stupidity of the world around them. They found themselves in a situation where the stupidity is so alarming by individuals that they should just, they might as well go ahead and make a killing off of it. Sell merch, sell t-shirts, hoodies, cookbooks. I mean, shit, put their face on calendars. Put the rivalry on everything. The WNBA got to capitalize off of it. Now, I'm not understanding why that game was as early as it was. The only other big event that I can think of that happened that night was the UFC 302, Poirier versus Makhachev. So I'm not understanding why that game didn't happen at like 8 o'clock, because Makhachev and Poirier didn't fight till like 12 at night, close to 1 in the morning. So that fight, that game not being put into a primetime slot on a Saturday with no NBA games going at that. So you got the whole world more than likely watching that, rather than having it early in the afternoon when people still got shit to do. Because the people who go into the club not sitting down watching sports anyways. So that's not the crowd you should have been worried about. But a lot of people who go down on Saturdays to try to watch the games, they usually do something before the games. They usually having something to fill their afternoon before the games come down. And when the games come on, that's when they settle down and get ready for the game. So having that game that early in the afternoon with no other big event that night aside from the UFC event, which most people, if you only wanted to watch the main event, you could tune in at 12 at night to see the main event. I'm not understanding that. But I just think a lot of the conversation around the WNBA, Caitlin Clark and whatnot, it's from people who not even fans. One of the things that's really irritating me about a lot of the talk around the WNBA is a lot of these dudes don't watch the sport. So the only thing that they can really have a conversation about is Caitlin Clark, because I'm not even convinced they watch Caitlin Clark. I'm convinced they watch each other talk about it, and they just predict that maybe one of us watches the game, so we just gonna keep regurgitating the same dumbass takes. That's where I really think it's at, because for one, Caitlin Clark is not being hip checked, and dirty plays is not happening to Caitlin Clark on a nightly basis. That's the first time I done seen somebody have a dirty play on Caitlin Clark. All I'm seeing is women playing hard, wanting to win, wanting to compete. And why wouldn't you want to compete? I saw somebody the other day get mad at the interview and was like, ESPN watching this game. This is all eyes on you, and you waste this interview by saying, I'm not answering no questions about Caitlin Clark. You should have promoted yourself. But the same people would say, why are you playing so hard against Caitlin Clark? Let her go off. But this game on national TV, right? This on ESPN. So shouldn't they play just as hard against Caitlin Clark on ESPN, knowing the notoriety they can get from this? But see, that's the problem. People keep saying what Caitlin Clark doing for the WNBA, what Caitlin Clark doing. Bro, you don't care about the WNBA. You care about Caitlin Clark. That's why you keep telling these other women to stop playing hard around Caitlin Clark. And one of my biggest problems right now is I thought that the game, that people would want to learn more about the WNBA and more about the players in the WNBA through watching Caitlin Clark. I'm starting to realize that's not happening, because Caitlin Clark done played against a lot of great players to this point in her career because of the teams they done played against. Asia Wilson is the best player in the WNBA. She might win unanimous MVP this year the way she playing. 2-time back-to-back WNBA champion. 2-time WNBA MVP, finals MVP. Like, I'm not understanding, 2-time finals MVP rather. I'm not understanding why you can watch Caitlin Clark, but you don't want to watch Asia Wilson as an extension. You don't want to watch Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart's resume is ridiculous. 4-time, I believe she won 4 championships at UConn. She definitely won 2 because she played with Maya Moore. She won multiple championships at UConn, one of the most decorated college sports athletes of all time. Done won multiple championships in the WNBA, multi-time WNBA champion, Olympic gold medalist. I mean, just one of the most ridiculous resumes you will ever see. You don't want to watch her as an extension through watching Caitlin Clark? Diana Taurasi, who put her foot in my team's ass today. I'm going to get to it. You don't want to watch her, the greatest scorer in WNBA history? You don't want to watch her as an extension of Caitlin Clark? You don't want to get to learn about all these other greats while watching Caitlin Clark? Because that's the competition she's going to go up against for the next decade plus, hopefully. And you don't want to get to learn those women. You don't want to. The Nafisha Cooper. Jesus Christ, how do I forget my girl's name? Nafisha, I can't remember her. Coolier on the links. You don't want to get to know that stud. Satu Sabali on the wings. Rike Ongumbawale on the wings. You don't want to get to know none of these studs. I think it's unfortunate. All you want to do is talk about all the negative that you feel like is in the WNBA. I thought the publicity to the WNBA would be positive. And I saw somebody say the other day, when is it going to be responsibility for Caitlin Clark to come out and address all her fans, the negative fan base that she had? Because I noticed that y'all do that to a lot of different athletes. Say, well, why don't they come out and talk about they raging fans? But you didn't do it for Trump. You're not doing it for Caitlin Clark. For people that you seem to like, it's okay for them to have crazy ass fan bases. You got no problem with it. But when you don't like somebody, oh, they need to control their fans. They need to speak out about the toxicness from their fan base. Name a more toxic fan base right now, not name LeBron James stans, because that will always be the most toxic fan base to me. I don't know if I have ever seen a more toxic fan base than LeBron stans. Those motherfuckers are crazy. But right now, Caitlin Clark stans are ridiculous. Ridiculous. And you really would enjoy these WNBA games if you did not just watch them to see Caitlin Clark be successful. I had to take another sip of this strong ass lemonade. Oh, my bad. Arnold Palmer. But if you wasn't just watching these games to see Caitlin Clark be successful, like if the goal wasn't I'm only watching to see Caitlin Clark be successful, or I'm changing, or I got a problem with how the game is being played, then you just never gonna like the game, man. And that's unfortunate and that's crazy. But it is what it is. I done wasted enough time not talking about my fucking Sparks. So now we enter the portion of the show where we talk about Saints, Los Angeles Sparks, and we look like shit. Listen, anytime I criticize Kurt, and I ain't here to kill Kurt, man, our head coach. Listen, I understand he a MAC-10 Hall of Famer. I understand he done took teams to a WNBA Finals before. I understand he a decorated coach. I get that. So anytime I'm critical of him, it's passion, okay? Understand that. But I got to talk about my team because this is ridiculous. And understand everything that I'm saying is coming from a place of passion. That's all it is. All right. We suck. But before I get to why we suck, shout out to De'Erica Hamby, who I feel like is most definitely going to be an all-star this year. If we didn't suck ass, she would probably be in conversations for MVP right now because she's a walking double-double. Okay? And our most consistent player. And it's really hard to fathom how she is as consistent as she is when she plays in such a inconsistent offense. But that just adds to her greatness. It's almost embarrassing, to be completely honest with you, if you the Las Vegas Aces and you had her and you just let her go. You could have had her playing beside Asia Wilson right now. I mean, I know they played together for a long time, but I just don't know why you let her walk, because what she doing right now is crazy. She is legitimately an MVP candidate if the Sparks didn't suck ass. And this, like, again, I say we suck ass, but it's coming from a place of passion. Okay? We played against the Wings a week ago. Lexi Brown got hurt in that game. We struggled shooting for the majority of that game. Kia Nurse was having like a 3-game stretch where she could not hit a jump shot. Like, she just could not hit a jump shot. That game against the Wings, then going into that game against the Fever, and the start of the game against the rematch against the Fever, and that game against the because we lost back-to-back. We lost to the Fever. Then Saturday, we lost, I think it was to the Mercury. I can't remember exactly who it was we lost to. Maybe it was the Wings that we lost to. I think we lost to the Fever. Then we lost to the Wings. Then we beat the Fever. And then the day we got blasted by the Mercury. But in the game against the Wings, Lexi got hurt in that game. She hurt her hand. Cam Brink got in foul trouble early in that game. And that's one of the things that we really fighting against right now is foul trouble with Cameron Brink. They cannot keep her out of foul trouble because the refs is calling everything on her right now. Shit that's not even fouls, or shit that's like a 50-50, you can let it go type foul, they calling on her. So I understand her frustrations early. The biggest problem to me remains the same for the Sparks. When you look at how we struggled to score, and it's really an infuriating problem, because when you look at how we have so many talented scorers of the basketball, but you just have these halves, these quarters where we cannot score the ball. Today against the Mercury, we scored 7 fucking points in the third quarter. That cannot happen. Like, against the Fever, we started hitting shots late, but then Caitlin Clark got hot late also in that game. Turn around against the Wings, we never really got hot, but we was carried for a long time because De'Erica Hamby and Cameron Brink had great games. However, in that game, they still weren't getting Cameron. They don't call plays for Cameron Brink. Cameron Brink just got to work hard and they'll get her the ball eventually. Possibly, maybe. They get her the ball way more now than they did the first 3 games of the season where it felt like they was just looking her off on purpose. Then you go into the rematch against the Fever, and we had a great shooting night. We had a sloppy ending to the game, but we shot the ball great. Kia Nurse found her shot in the second half. She started drilling 3-pointers again. De'Erica Hamby was dominating down low and on the boards. Cameron Brink was hitting jump shots and hitting her shot and playing great defense. Rakia Jackson. The lineup, and I got to watch this because as great as I think this lineup is, it's actually not a great lineup, but it's the best that we have right now when Cameron Brink is at the 5, Hamby is at the 4, Rakia is at the 3, Kia Nurse is at the 2, and Lexi is at the 1. Now, that's our best lineup because that's 5 women who can go get you 15 plus points a game. However, it's not actually a great lineup because we don't actually have a point guard that can, as much as Lexi try to be a great point guard, she's just not a natural floor runner or floor general. So she still does not know. One of the biggest problems that the Sparks have is we do a lot of over dribbling. And somebody will be open, and we won't immediately hit them to get that easy shot. We over dribble so much that people who open, they match up their defender, eventually can regroup and get on them because we dribble them from being open. And that's a big problem that we have right now. Rakia RJ will be open sometimes. Big Brink will be open sometimes. And Lexi will over dribble. Sometimes it's just, she's not a point guard, so she not going to understand that I got to hit them right now, right here. And she make good passes here and there, but everybody can make a great pass here or there. The reality is, as a matter of fact, we got a woman on, how did I forget her name, bro? She don't play a lot, but she been playing the last 2 games, our point guard off the bench. She kind of run the show better than Lexi. As a matter of fact, she had a good game against, I don't know how I forgot my girl's name, but the Sparks problem right now is we don't have an so we don't have multiple things. We don't run an offense that is conducive to getting all these women's shots or easy looks. We don't have a facilitator at the point guard position or really at all who can set the offense up and get these women's shots. And we don't have that type of floor general who don't even need an offense. She just knows how to get people to their spots, in their spots, to penetrate, to get people open. She just know how to manipulate the defense, understand pace of play. She just know how to do. We don't have that. And that is one of the biggest problems right now. And the lack of time and chemistry. So the Sparks is really struggling right now. And sometimes when we play on offense, we turn the ball over so much. That's one of the reasons we can't score. But then you turn around and on top of turnovers, we take bad shots because we don't set each other up for good shots or for great shots or for decent looks. Hamby got to do a lot of work to get her points in the paint sometimes. Kia Nurse got to do a lot of dribbling to get her points sometimes. Lexi Brown got to do a lot of dribbling to get her points sometimes. Cameron Brink got to pray they hit her with the ball. The only 2 players who really seem to get Rakia and Cam don't over dribble a lot, but it's really because they're rookies and don't get the ball as much as they probably should. Now, one of the things that I saw today when I was watching us get blasted by the Mercury, Rakia Jackson kept getting that. I call her RJ, but I know some people might not pick up on that, but I'm not going to keep saying her full name. I'm just going to start calling her RJ. But sometimes they'll give RJ this play where they back off of her enough to where she could take a pull-up midi And I'm pretty sure she can hit that shot. As a matter of fact, I know she can hit that shot. But her mind right now got her just dribbling it into the paint to try to either take a tougher shot, a tougher layup, or pass it out for a shot that's tougher because she could have just took that pull-up midi. Kurt got to tell her, like, yo, you got like 4 to 5 attempts at that mid-range shot probably every time you in the game per quarter. You could make a killing off of that and pull up mid-range shot because of how open they leave you, thinking that you're just going to take it straight to the hole. When you have that type of dynamic offense, or when you have that type of skill set that RJ has, you got to be able, you can't leave nothing out there because you have such a package. And I understand her game going to evolve the more she play, but that's a shot that she got a lot throughout the majority of the game. Our big Asian woman off of the bench, I can't remember how you pronounce her name at the moment, but our center off the bench, I like her. She played hard. I just think her footwork is god awful. She not aggressive enough like McCowan is for the wings. Like, I feel like if she was that aggressive, she would make a bigger difference than the difference she make for us right now. McDonald had a big game against the Fever coming off of the bench because Calderon is hurt right now. I mean, we getting good production off of the bench right now. I'm not going to lie. The production off of the bench has been decent, or decent to good to great the last couple games. But the problem is this game against the Mercury, it was just all bad. We didn't play good defense. I mean, we let Cloud get hot. What's crazy is Copper is the hot hand right now, but we let everybody go crazy on us but Copper, really. So that was crazy. But this was just one of them throw away the tape type of games for the Sparks. But I don't. Obviously, the longer we play together this year, you expect the chemistry to be great. And I expect that we'll have like a stretch of like 3 to 4 to 5 games where we win in a row because our offense is finally starting to click. I still have this belief, and maybe I'm biased because I am a Sparks fan, but I still have this belief that the Sparks can rip off a couple games. Now, I'm not saying we're going to put ourselves in position to be a playoff team. And hell, if we suck to the point where we are competing for the first pick in the draft, we might as well try to get Paige Buchers. But I still have this belief that with the scoring that we have on this roster, if we figure out how to get everybody involved and put them in positions to be successful, we could put up 100 points multiple games in a row and have an offense to where it's like, yo, who do we defend? Because all of these women can go get a bucket. We just haven't figured that out right now. And it's disappointing. It was a tough watch today, watching us get our asses beat in. But we survived to play yet another game. And I love my Sparks. I was talking to my brother the other day. And listen, this next point gonna sound crazy. But right now, we was talking about the rookie of the years for the WNBA. And right now, if we been like, I don't think they're gonna give it to nobody but Caitlin Clark. That's how cynical I kind of am about this. Like, I think they're gonna find a way to give it to Caitlin Clark regardless. However, if I had to have a rookie, because none of the rookies are really averaging big numbers. I think they all play big roles for their teams right now. But if you're only looking at them by their numbers, then you're not going to be impressed with really none of them. But I think right now, off of watching all of them play, to me, the rookie of the year leader for me would be Angel Reese. Like, the role that Angel Reese, her team is winning. They in almost every single game they play. She contributes in a huge way, defensively, offensively. I mean, her free throw shooting got improved from her first 2 games. To me, just looking at the complete games that people playing right now, Angel Reese would probably be leading the rookie of the year for me right now. The rest of it is really scattered because I can make an argument for everybody for second, third, fourth, and all that. So I don't really think it matters. Second place right now, or third, or fourth, or fifth. But realistically, to me, right now, and Lord knows I want to try to make an argument for one of my rookies, either RJ or Big Brink, but I can't. But my thing is, if you do watch the WNBA, right, and you watch different teams play, And shout out to Camila Cardoso, who made her debut this past weekend. But if you watch the WNBA, because really the women going off right now is the vets, so that's not really shocking. But if you watch these rookies, all of them really do play big roles for their team. Like Caitlin Clark is really the facilitator, the big shot maker. She play a big role for her team. Cameron Brink is the defensive presence for the Sparks. They are a completely different team when Cameron Brink is off the floor. Rakia Jackson is a bucket for the Sparks. They done needed all her points in every game she done played and could have used more of her scoring in games where we done lost. So if you look at really all these teams, to me, all of the rookies is making a great case to beat. Like, I don't look at most of any of these, like Peely for the Lynx. She had a 20-piece the other night. Like, now she don't get the time that these other women get right now for the Lynx, which makes sense because the Lynx got a lot of great scorers already. And she don't really feel a need as much as some of these other women feel immediate needs for their teams. But as tough as the race, because I do think it's a tough race right now, but I do think if I'm being fair, I can't think of who I would take over Angel Reese right now for Rookie of the Year. Like, I do think Angel Reese done. It's just really hard to argue with what Angel Reese done. I know she haven't put up the gaudy scoring numbers that Caitlin Clark put up for some games, but she just done been consistent every game. You know what you're gonna get from her. And what's crazy is, you know she could be better offensively, but you know she gonna bring that effort, the defense, the rebounding. She gonna do all the little things great for you every game. And right now, that's probably the biggest difference with her, to be honest with you. If Cameron Brink had the tenacity of an Angel Reese, oh my God. It really is something special about Angel Reese. Like, I get that her offensive ceiling is not the Cameron Brink, Rakia Jackson, Elisa Pilley, my girl, Caitlin. I understand all those women and some other women might have, far superior offensive ceilings at the moment than an Angel Reese. But if you watch these Chicago Sky games, I don't know, man. It's really hard to deny that Angel Reese right now is the Rookie of the Year at this moment. Now, it could change. It could very well change. But right now, yeah, it'd be real hard for me to put anybody over Angel Reese right now. Real hard. It's a tough rookie class because they gonna fight for this thing all the way to the end. Shout out to Phoenix. They have the All-Star game this year for the WNBA. That should be a great event. I'm glad it's in Phoenix, somewhere where it should be hot, not somewhere like Indy where it's gonna be raining and whatnot. I don't know why the NBA did that this year, but nonetheless. Next, I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. Now, I understand why most people would be taking the Boston Celtics. And I understand if you watch the show, you might say, Saint, the only reason you're not taking the Celtics is because you're a Laker fan. I get all of that. I truly do. But listen, I done seen great players take out great teams a multitude of times. And unfortunately for Boston fans, I do not look at this Boston team and look at it like I looked at some of those far superior teams where I'm like, nah, one great player ain't taking this team out. To me, when I look at this matchup, I do believe Dallas, for one, Dallas is not the same defensive team that it was a couple years ago when it got to the finals. So that's one thing they got going against them. However, as much as people think Boston is, and I meant Boston didn't have the defense this year that they had a couple years ago when they got to the finals. However, when people look at Boston, they see this juggernaut of a team. I don't. I do think that they have a phenomenally built roster. However, I do think it's important weaknesses within this roster. And a lot of it comes from some of their best players. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I've seen them fold in big games in the finals before. Couldn't tell you the last time I seen Luka Doncic become smaller than in big games. I've never seen Luka just quit mid-competition or make it feel as though he done conceded victory in a big time moment. I done seen that from the Celtics. It's hard to get that out of your mind once you've seen it once. That make you know. That, to me, that allows you to know they can be had mentally. The game can get so overwhelming at some point in time when a great player is just doing too much where it can become, damn, we lost this. Because I seen them do it against the Warriors, a team that they was favored to beat. But Steph Curry became too much. Luka Doncic, to me, and I said this on a episode probably a week ago, his evolution right now, what he is becoming, what he is doing when he get the ball in his hand, what he is doing when the game is close and on the line, and he got to make plays or go get a bucket or get somebody else a bucket, is bar none. It's second to none right now. I think that Luka Doncic is by far the best player in this series. Better than Tatum, better than Jaylen Brown. I don't think as highly of Jaylen Brown as a lot of people think of Jaylen Brown. I done said it multiple times. I don't think Jaylen Brown is a bad player or nothing like that. But if you put him in the Western Conference, he would not have made an All-Star game yet, and you wouldn't think of him the way you think of him yet. The way you think of him. But because he play in the weak-ass Eastern Conference, you can make a living having people think that you greater than thou playing in the Eastern Conference. Plus, you play with a great team in the Celtics. So, I still believe in a series where people always, I done heard multiple people say, the Celtics had the players to make it real tough for the Luka on defense and Kyrie on, make it hard for them offensively because of the defensive presence of the Celtics. I done seen the Celtics defense fold multiple times. Not to mention, to think that only Luka and Kyrie can come up small or have bad shooting nights is crazy when I done seen Jaylen Brown have bad shooting nights when defenses do their job on him. Jaylen Brown is probably the worst shooter out of the four big-time players in this series. And he is the one who is, to me, the most likely to have off shooting nights if you play decent defense on him. So this notion that Kyrie and Luka is the two that could have the long nights is crazy. Because we done seen Dallas play good defense in the playoffs. We done seen Dallas be able to show up and slow down an opposing team's best players. And I'm not saying that can't happen for the Celtics either. But what I'm saying is to say that that's more likely to happen to the Mavericks when you got Jaylen Brown sitting on the Celtics is insanity. Now, maybe you feel more highly of Jaylen Brown than I do. That's all right. Then my take is insane to you. But because I don't look at Jaylen Brown, like, I'm going to put it to you like this. Kyrie, Luka, and not as much Kyrie anymore, but Luka and Kyrie, well, for one, Luka is the best player in the series. To me, he is on I'm not going to call him a superstar yet because I reserve that for the dudes who actually lead their teams and win in the finals. But Luka, to me, is closer to that than Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Well, then far, far, far closer than that than Jaylen Brown. But to me, Tatum is the one who's been scratching that surface for the longest. Now, I don't even know if after they won this, I would be able to say Tatum is a superstar base. He really got to show out and show up in this series, man. Because if he don't, you're thinking about how he let you down in that series against the Warriors. Then you thinking about this series, and it's just going to be like, man, can we ever win with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Even though it feel like every year they lose, that's the question that's asked. At this current moment, I'm leaning Dallas because I have faith in Luka. I like the storylines in this. Kyrie against the Celtics. I know the fans in Boston gonna be booing the fuck out of Kyrie. Luka, Porzingis matching up against Dallas. Dallas gonna be booing the shit out of Porzingis if he playing this series. So it's gonna be a great series. I think this is the best series storyline wise you could have gotten because it's not really any other matchups at this point that could have happened that would have had like built-in storylines all ready to go. This right here already got a lot of storylines baked into it. I mean, I already done heard people say this is not the Kyrie that the Boston Celtics got. If this is the Kyrie they got, they would have won a championship. You know, so all that type of nonsense done already started. So I enjoyed it. This is the series, but I'm going to take Boston. I mean, Lord Jesus, fuck Boston. I'm going to take the Dallas Mavericks. I think it'll take them 7. I think it'll take them 7 games to knock off the Celtics. And that's only because I think the Celtics is going to have 2 games where they shoot the ball so insanely crazy where it's going to be nothing that the Mavericks can really do about it. So that's 2 games baked in right there. But I also think they'll get the first game of the series. And I don't know if it'll be because the reason I think they'll get the first game is because this will be a different matchup for Dallas in a sense of the team you just played was a great team in the T-Wolves and whatnot, but it's so many more shooters on the Celtics that it's going to be like, damn, we got to guard a lot of different people on this team, yo. Like we got a lot of work to do to make sure these dudes don't just shoot the lights out every game. But I think when it comes down to the clutch moments of these games, because I think it'll be a lot of fourth quarter close battles that come down to the wire, I just think Luka and Kyrie are going to get it done. And I don't have faith in a lot of guys in the Eastern Conference that done played the Celtics, but I got a lot of faith in Luka Doncic and Kyrie. And I think these are by far the best closers, the 2 best players that the Celtics done played in this playoff run, period. And because of that, I think that will make a huge difference in this series because the Celtics haven't played a superstar like a Kyrie, Luka Doncic yet in these playoffs. They have played a lot of good players. They ain't played a Kyrie and a Luka Doncic who will get calls. You're not going to just be able to dictate a game against them 2 because they will get the calls. If they don't get it in game 1, you know they're going to get it game 2, 3. If they don't get it in game 2, they're going to get it game 3, 4. Like, this ain't a team that you're going to play against that won't be able to get calls like some of the teams you done played against. I also don't believe this is one of them teams that you'll be able to just run off a score on every game like you was able to do against. What's crazy is the Pacers competed in 3 different games, and they had a guy. They didn't have a closer at the end of those games. The Mavericks do. I believe if you gave the Mavericks those 3 games that the Pacers lost against Boston, if you give those games to the Mavericks, they win at least 2 of those because Luka and Kyrie get it done down the stretch, unlike Halliburton and those other guys. And to me, that is a very, very, very important aspect in this series. Defensively, I think both teams will have their nights, but I don't really think either team is that elite defensively where it's going to be like, oh, Luka just cannot score, but I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, I think it'll be games where Drew look like he having great games on Kyrie, but for the most part, I just refuse to believe that these refs are going to let Drew Holiday hound Kyrie and take him out of a series with a bunch of calls that should be called, but they don't call. I just don't see that happening. If anything, they'll get Luka switched on him and get him to get pick up fouls because there is not finna hold Luka Doncic. I just tell you that right now. He is going to get his calls. But I do think it'll end up being a close series, and I'm going to take Dallas winning this in 7. I'll be here to cover it every game. I promise. I'm covering every single game of the finals. With that being said, I appreciate you for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with him. Tell somebody you love him. You can be anything in the world. So choose to be kind to somebody today. Like, subscribe, share. I fuck with you. I love you. Saint out.
Jesus spit in your mouth. That's gay.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, you know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.